Welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. I'm your host, Leticia Ringe, and I'm so glad you're here. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm Leticia Ringe, your coach, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship or end a marriage. In our last episode, I mentioned at this time of year, this is when most couples will choose to separate. So some of you might also be deciding whether to end a romantic relationship or marriage, and I want to make sure that you feel fully supported through this crucial process and phase of the romantic relationship cycle. This is actually my favorite phase to support my clients with. And the reason for that is it is a phase where so much goodness can come out of it if approached consciously. And obviously, that's what I help my clients to do through my conscious relationship framework and process for deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship. Now, typically the way we approach this phase is there is a lot of confusion, a lot of overwhelm, guilt, shame, disconnection, and just generally painful emotions that we experience, whether you're the partner who is bringing it up or whether you are the partner receiving this from your partner. There are many painful and what we would call negative emotions associated with this phase, and typically the way we approach this phase makes everything so much worse, causing more disconnection, more pain, more confusion, more overwhelm. And then we go and get our family and friends involved. We try to get them to help us to make a decision. And then we're very mad when they try to tell us what their opinion is. And we make everything worse, getting all of these people who are our support system involved. They then lose their trust in your relationship. And so if you decide to stay together, it becomes this little elephant in the room between all of you. Typically, we also see being in this phase as a really bad thing. And so there's a lot of judgment that we're even in this phase because we've been sold the belief that if you were in a great relationship and this person was right for you, then you wouldn't have any problems, which is the biggest load of BS I have heard. So I want you to know that if you're in this phase, you can use this phase as an opportunity to create an even better experience of your relationship together, or at the very least, to have an even better relationship with yourself. So in today's episode, I'm going to tell you exactly how to approach this phase so that you create the best experience possible and so you get the best outcomes possible for yourself and for your relationship during this phase that you're in right now. And to further assist you, I want to make sure that you are aware that I have another episode 187 on the podcast. It's called When Is It Time to Leave a Romantic Relationship? And in that episode, I take you through how to approach being in this phase in terms of your mindset, most importantly, and some practical tips for making a conscious decision. And I highly recommend you listen to that episode in partnership with this episode today. I'm not going to go through the same points I made in that episode, so it will be a really good follow-up to this episode today. In addition, I want to make sure that you know if you are in this phase of the romantic relationship cycle now, I would love to support you through this phase and we can do some incredible work together in my conscious relationship coaching program. In my conscious relationship coaching program, we can work together, either just you and I as you navigate this phase, or we can work together with your partner in couples coaching. I love to help people through this phase of the romantic relationship cycle because there is so much opportunity and because I have a very clear process to support you, not only in making a decision that is right for you, but also using this to your benefit within your relationship together as well as in your own personal life. When I went through this exact phase of the romantic relationship cycle back in 2021, when I was in a 10-year relationship that I was ending, I was Googling all the time people that could support me as I navigated making that decision. And I found very few people talking to this topic and very few options for support. So I want to make sure that you all know I can help you through this phase. I would love to do it, and you deserve and should be supported through this phase. And I can do that for you in my Conscious Relationship Coaching program. So if you're listening to this episode for you, or you're listening just to be aware about this topic so that you can support your friends and family as they navigate deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship, please know that I can further support you with this phase. And all you need to do is head to leticiaringe.com/CRCP, read all the information, and then follow the instructions to submit an application. From there, you and I, and possibly your partner, will have a call together so we can make sure we're a good fit, and then we'll work together over 6 months to help you decide whether to leave your romantic relationship. And also, as we'll talk about in this episode, put yourself in a position where you're really improving your relationship together as a couple, and also improving the rest of your life. Finally, I want to make sure you also know that my free community relationship bundle, Create Thriving Relationships Today, is available for you to access right now, and I highly recommend that you do if you haven't already. In this bundle, you will learn exactly what your personal work is in order to improve your relationships across your life, including your love life. This will show you what your personal roadmap looks like to step into conscious relating and to improve the quality of your relationships. You can head to leticiaringe.com/thriving relationships. All right, everyone, without further ado, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome to Relate Higher, a podcast dedicated to providing the leading standard in conscious higher relating and to teaching you a conscious framework for all of your relationships. This is your go-to resource for developing meaningful, conscious relationships across your life. I'm your host, award-winning relationship coach and consultant and former family lawyer, Leticia Ringe. I'm so glad you're here. Okay, let's talk about exactly how to approach deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship or to end a marriage. Firstly, I want you to know that if you find yourself in this phase of the romantic relationship cycle, typically the way that we think about this phase and the way we approach this phase is pushing us to try to make a decision as soon as possible. And this decision is coming from a place of pressure, stress, urgency. We think that the solution to the way we're feeling, the dissatisfaction we're feeling in the relationship or the marriage, will be eased through making the decision to leave the relationship or marriage. However, leaving the relationship or marriage does not solve the actual issues that you want solved that are leading you to making this decision. So if you decide to leave the relationship or the marriage, you will not actually be solving the issue that is causing you the pain and leading you to want to decide whether to leave the relationship or not. So let's actually solve the right issue. And in order to do that, we have to slow down and look at what those issues are first. So why do you want to leave this romantic relationship or marriage? Make sure you write down all of your reasons as to why you're being prompted to consider whether to leave the relationship. And if you're the partner who is receiving this from your partner, you can write your own list. What are all the opportunities for improvement within our relationship right now? Where do I agree with my partner? What do I want to take responsibility for in terms of where the relationship is falling short of a relationship that would really truly support both of us to thrive? Get aware. Use this as an opportunity to become aware of the unresolved issues between you. Once you've got that list, I recommend you then write another list, which is about all the reasons why you want to stay in this relationship, all the reasons why you appreciate this relationship and your romantic partner. Make sure you write all of those reasons down. What is going right in your relationship or marriage? Where are you actually thriving? It's really important to take a 360 view of the issue. Where are the issues and where are things actually going really well? Okay, that's going to give you a more balanced perspective on this matter. And it's also actually getting you to look at the real issues that need to be solved. And so as you look at all of these issues between you, your brain is telling you, hey, if we just end this, all of those issues go away. But as you look through that list, what you'll probably discover is that many of these issues are actually issues that are involving you. So you remove the relationship, you remove your partner, you still have you. These issues are likely to come up in your next relationship. They're likely to come up even if you're single. And they are issues that this relationship is giving you the opportunity to solve with another person. So my recommendation is always to first look at the issues and then choose to give you and your partner 6 months to support and improve the relationship first, to address solving these actual issues together and as individuals before you actually consider whether you want to stay or go from this romantic relationship. Now, I make this recommendation strongly and from personal experience. I was in a 10-year relationship, a beautiful, healthy, secure, loving romantic relationship with a man that I intentionally attracted and went through a conscious relationship process in my early 20s to attract, where I looked at my patterns, I looked at what I needed, and I worked through a process to attract a very specific person in my life. I looked at relationship skills, and we were set up with everything we needed at that time to create a great relationship. We then got in the relationship, went throughout our lives. It was great. And then in the last couple of years, prompted mostly because I wanted to live overseas and he wanted to live in Australia, we then started to have disagreements, big disagreements about the future of our relationship. And that led us to believing, well, maybe we shouldn't be in this relationship together because if we were right for each other, we wouldn't be having these issues. That was a very, very wrong belief that we both had that I have since learned to see very differently. Now, what we didn't do was work on the issue. We didn't get support to help with the issue. I did go see a therapist about my own personal matters, but we never worked on how to move through a big disagreement together as a couple. We didn't look at what the issues were underlying that big superficial issue, and we never actively worked on our relationship together because we thought, hey, we're just right for each other. We did the work up front to be clear on what we needed. We're in a secure relationship. We're thriving. So why would we need to work on it? Right? This is why I understand all of these stories that so many of you are thinking that lead to the problems that ultimately have us end up in relationships that aren't fulfilling or making decisions that you later regret. So when we went through that process, we spent years talking about whether we should actually end the relationship. We did it as consciously as we could. We ultimately decided to end the relationship. We went through a conscious uncoupling, respecting each other in the highest way we could through that process. And then once we were broken up, once we were separated, I took myself through what I usually do at the end of a relationship, which is a big personal review, looking at how I'm personally responsible for the ending of our relationship, looking at all of my patterns, looking at what I really want and need so that I can consciously attract someone in my next relationship. During this process, I also started doing the work that I should have been doing when I was in that relationship to learn about more relationship skills and take the skills I already had to deeper deeper levels. And the reason I did that is because I never wanted to go through this circumstance again. I didn't want to get into another relationship and then have it end after 10 years. And so I was motivated because of that pain to finally do the work and take responsibility and set myself up for success. So after the relationship, I actually did the work that the relationship needed in order to continue thriving. It didn't matter that it had been thriving. It didn't matter that we were right for each other. What mattered is we needed to do the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive. And that is what we missed together as a couple. And it took us separating and ending the relationship for me to realize that. And this is why today I know that one, there is no right partner for all of us. In fact, the only person who is right for you is the partner who is willing to do the ongoing work to make your relationship thrive. And in order for you to be the right partner for anyone else out there, you have to be committed to doing the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive. I learned that even if someone is right in the beginning, they will not be right at some point in your relationship and journey together if no ongoing work to make the relationship thrive is happening. I learned that all relationships require support, nurturing, and improvement. I learned that when there are opportunities for improvement, which usually show up in the form of problems, disagreements, issues, and challenges, that these were all opportunities to create deeper connection, love, intimacy, and a better relationship together. I learned how important it is to work with people outside of your relationship who obviously specialize in supporting couples with their relationships to help you gain a wider perspective on what is possible within your relationship. Because when you're in the relationship, it's really hard to see where the room for improvement actually is and also where you're getting in the way of what you actually want to experience together as a couple. I also learned that in order to be in a long-term, successful, thriving relationship, you have to choose to be in your relationship every single day. I also learned that putting the relationship ending on the table every time there is a problem is a very unhealthy trait and never actually solves the real problem. This is a protective pattern, and it is one of my personal protective patterns. Now, I am so grateful for the experience I had with my 10-year partner and for everything I learned because our relationship ended. But let me tell you, if I could go back in time and give myself some advice, I would never have made the decision to leave the relationship, and I would never have put ending the relationship on the table, even as an option. And the reason for that is I now know that what is most important to create a thriving long-term relationship is one, that both people are committed to doing the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive, and two, that the answers that I wanted at that time, what I wanted to feel and experience could only have been found through actually supporting and improving our relationship first. i.e., the solution to deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship is not to actually decide whether to leave it. It is to look at why you want to leave it and then go and solve all of those issues first. This is why I said in our last episode that if you're deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship, you need to listen to that episode first and do everything to support and improve your relationship first before you actually consider leaving your romantic relationship or marriage. Now, this means that if I were in that same situation today, I would never have left my partner. And so I think it's really, really important that I share this story with you, because usually when we hear from people who did decide to leave a romantic relationship or to end a marriage, we hear from them after they've recoupled, or maybe they've decided to stay single forever and be out of relationship. We usually hear those people validate their decisions. And of course, there's a really good reason why we do that, because we want to back ourselves with the decisions we made. And also because we can't keep clinging on to the past, right? We need to move forward. But in my situation, I have made complete peace with the decision that I made at that time. I did the best that I could with the information I have. And so this is a unique situation, I realize, where I'm able to actually teach from a place of lived experience as well as expertise on this topic of relationships. And so I want you to know that the process I'm teaching you here is what I wish I had done and also what will actually solve the issues that are leading to this decision even being on the table. So the process is as follows. 1, you accept that this is where you are right now so that you don't further exacerbate the confusion, pain, overwhelm, guilt, shame, or judgment, or any other feeling that you're experiencing right now. Secondly, instead of deciding whether to leave the relationship or end the marriage, instead you write a list of all the reasons why you think you want to leave the relationship. Then you write another list of all the reasons why you want to stay in this relationship and everything that is working well. You look at these lists and you see them as opportunities for deeper love, connection, and partnership between you. And then you do the work to support and improve your relationship first. That would look like solving all of these issues. And it would look like going back to the episode I did most recently and having a listen to everything I talked about in terms of personal areas that affect your relationship and relationship areas that affect your relationship, and doing the work to support and improve all of those areas first. I recommend you give it at least 6 months to actually work on your relationship together. And I recommend that you work with someone to help you through this process, because when you're in the relationship together, you've created habits together. You've created a shared perspective of each other in the relationship, and it's really hard to see outside of that. When you work with someone, they're going to help you expand your perspective, find what's possible for you and your relationship, and they're also going to help you expand your own awareness of yourself and how you're actually stepping in your own way. Because most of the issues you write down between you and your partner, there is a part of you that is contributing to those issues and that dynamic, even if you think it's all your partner's fault. And so you are likely to attract those same people in your life or to attract those same situations and experiences. And this is where part of my work is helping my clients to see their protective patterns that show up in their relationships and their life and that block their core desires from actually being met. When we can solve those issues, we actually solve the real problems, which then lead my clients to actually creating what they want, not only in their love life, but also across the rest of their life. Nextly, I would make sure that you actively choose to be in your relationship every single day and ask yourself, when I'm actively choosing to be in this relationship each day, what would that actually look like and how would it be different to the way that I am showing up right now? I would also make a commitment to take ending the relationship off the table for at least the 6 months that you're working on the relationship. That's so obvious. You won't be able to have any success if that's constantly dangling over your heads as a couple. It also shows that you're not truly committed to actually trying to make it work. And there could be protective patterns that are stopping you from fully committing. But what you need to know is that if you're not fully embodying commitment here, it will not work. And so you will not be able to make a conscious decision about whether to leave the relationship if you're not fully committed to actually making it work first. Because once you make it work, once you give it everything it needs to be supported to thrive, then if that's still not enough for you, then you know you've given everything to this relationship, everything it needs to thrive, and it's still not where you want it to be. And therefore, this isn't the right relationship for you both. Now, if you're the partner who has brought this up, i.e., you're the one who wants to make a decision about whether to leave the relationship, I want you to see that what is motivating you to want to make this decision is not really about ending the relationship. It's really a call from something within you to go deeper into love, into connection, and into partnership with your partner. I want you to see this as an opportunity to create an even better relationship together. I want you to make sure you use conscious communication skills, and I will link the episodes I've done on this topic, so that the way you communicate with your partner is sensitive, because every time you bring this up, it is very dysregulating to your partner, whether they show it or not. It is so unhealthy to be in a relationship where someone keeps putting this on the table. And I've been there. I've been the one guilty of this. It is so dysregulating for your partner. And it's likely that this is a protective pattern of yours. When you feel like everything's out of your control, the only control card you have is to say, hey, well, let's end it. But instead, if you can turn that desire for control instead into a desire for collaboration and a recognition that actually all of these issues, they're actually opportunities to make things even better. And even if it doesn't work out between us, because I go through the process of improving my life as well as our relationship together, I learn new skills that I can then bring into my next relationship and, of course, into my life. So there is no loss by approaching this phase of the romantic relationship cycle in the way that I recommend. Now, if you're the partner who didn't bring this up and you're the partner who's receiving this from your partner, I want you to look at it in the same way. The fact that they are putting this on the table is actually not about wanting to leave the relationship. It is about something deeper. It is about there being opportunities for both of you to experience a deeper love, connection, and partnership together. And so I want you to see this as actually an opportunity for more connection between you two. Now, in order to do this, you are going to have to learn how to embody a conscious relationship skill and principle that I love to talk about a lot because it is so incredibly powerful. And that is this: meeting truth without reacting. In order to have conscious communication, in order to have a relationship that can actually allow for both you and your partner's humanity, in order to have a relationship where you both feel seen, you need to be able to express uncomfortable truths without the other partner reacting. Now, of course, it's totally normal to have reactions. Your body's going to do that. Your mind's going to do that. But there are ways you can assist and expand your capacity to be able to meet truth in a regulated, in terms of your nervous system and your body, way that is less stressful on you as a person. And that involves the way you look at what is being shared with you. When your partner is sharing this information, don't look at it as they are saying there's something wrong with me. Instead, look at it as they are giving me an opportunity to go deeper into our relationship together by revealing this truth to me. When you're able to hear someone's truth, to receive it without reacting, but just to say, hey, like, these are the things I am not enjoying. When you're able to actually listen to that, that gives you the information you need to make decisions to actually solve those issues, to come closer to one another. But if you immediately react and get defensive, you're unlikely to solve the issues. That creates more disconnection. If your partner feels like you're just going to react and they can't share their deeper truths, it doesn't allow them to access the actual solutions, and it means that they start withholding, and then eventually you both just start to separate anyway, and there's been no communication between you, so nothing gets solved, and you just feel it as, oh, you're just both no longer as connected. But really what's happening here is there wasn't capacity for truth to be revealed without reacting. When you're able to develop your capacity for this, which is something I support my clients to learn how to do, you will both be able to reveal more truths. And guess what you'll find? Whatever is revealed is rarely your deeper truth. You will start to actually become clear on what your deeper truths are. And that is what is actually going to solve the real deeper issues between you and within you. Now, there's one final thing I want to say on this topic. And that is this. Some of you might be thinking, well, I want to work on this relationship, but my partner doesn't. If you're in this situation, I still recommend that you make your way through all of the steps that I've recommended first. So from your side, you do everything you can to support and improve your relationship first. You work on the personal matters impacting your relationship, as well as the relationship matters that impact your relationship that I spoke about in the previous episode. You work with someone to help you through this process. You choose to be in your relationship every day. You put ending the relationship off the table. You commit to doing the work for 6 months to really improve things. You look at what your issues are with the relationship. You look at what you love about the relationship. You try to get awareness of what the issues are that your partner is experiencing and also what their appreciation is about the relationship. You fully accept that this is where you are and you don't further exacerbate all of the overwhelming emotions you might be experiencing right now. When you approach it in this way, not only are you doing what is possible within your power to make a difference on this relationship and to set it up to thrive so that you're in the best position to even make a decision about whether to leave the relationship or not, but you will also be putting yourself in the best position to inspire your partner to join you. Because when you start to make these changes and you start taking responsibility for your side of the street, then it's likely that your partner's going to feel less burdened by what is happening in your relationship right now. It's likely that they'll see the improvement. It's likely that they'll feel more supported. It's likely that they'll feel more loved when you're actively choosing to be in the relationship each day and also doing the work to make it thrive. So this is likely to have your partner lean in. But even if your partner decides to change nothing, even if your partner decides ultimately to leave or they lean out even more because you're doing the work, you're then going to have all of the information you need to know whether to leave or stay in this relationship. As a minimum, both people need to be committed to doing the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive. If your partner will not agree to that and you do the work to make it thrive and that still doesn't inspire your partner to lean in, if you ask them, could they join you in this process of working with someone and they still say no, then you will have exhausted everything you can do to improve the relationship. Then you know you don't have an active, willing, conscious, or compatible partner to join you in your relationship. And then and only then, I would make the decision to leave the relationship. And you can do it in the most loving, respectful, and conscious way that sets you and your partner up to have a positive post-separation relationship. I'll be talking about that in a future episode, and I've also previously spoken about this on the podcast, and I'll make sure I link that episode in the show notes. So, that is everything I want you to know today about deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship or to end a marriage. And I'm going to leave you with, I think I've got 6 journal questions to help you integrate everything you've learned in today's episode. Before I share those 6 questions, I want to remind you that if you are currently in this phase of the romantic relationship cycle, deciding whether to leave a romantic relationship or to end a marriage, whether it's you who has put this on the table or whether it's your partner or whether you're both doing it, whether you would like to work on the relationship on your own or whether your partner is agreeing to do that with you, I support individuals and couples through this exact process and phase. We will do everything we can to support and improve your relationship first, to focus on those personal matters I talked about in the previous episode, as well as all of the relationship matters and skills that are needed to thrive in partnership together. We will look at your relationship with yourself. We will look at the conscious relationship process, container, and skills needed to support a relationship to thrive. And we will look at how to support you through this phase specifically of the relationship cycle. This will set you up with all the support you need in order to improve your relationship, to improve your relationship with yourself, and also to make a decision so that both you and your partner are set up for success no matter what that decision is. I have helped people go through this phase and then decide to complete the relationship because one or both of them were not willing to do the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive. And I have had my clients experience really, really challenging circumstances that no one would ever want to be experiencing with their partner, that should completely erode trust and have them still move through a conscious uncoupling together, instead of ending up in a really expensive, messy, years-long divorce or separation process. This is truly the best investment you will make in yourself and also your relationship. Now, that is through my Conscious Relationship Coaching Program. You can find all of the details at leticiaringe.com/CRCP, and then you can submit your application from there. We'll then book in a coaching call together. We can do this so that it's just you and me doing the program together, or it will be as a couple. So you, me, and your partner. We'll get on a coaching call together, discuss exactly what it would look like, and then from there, make a decision about whether we want to commit to working together over 6 months. I also want to remind you all to make sure you download Create Thriving Relationships today. This free resource I've created for our community walks you through a process to reveal what your personal work is that's needed to improve the quality of your relationships across your life. You can find that at leticiaringe.com/thriving relationships. And now here are our coaching prompts and journal questions for today's episode. Actually, I think we've got 7 questions here. Number 1, are we both committed to doing the ongoing work to make the relationship thrive? Question 2, have we improved our personal matters? Now, that's a reference to the previous episode, so go back and listen to that episode to be able to answer this question. Question 3, have we improved our relationship? This is also in reference to the previous episode, so again, go back and listen to the episode and everything I talk about under the relationship category so that you can answer this question. Question 4, have we worked with someone to get new perspective and support to help us improve and support our relationship? Question 5, are we putting our relationship ending on the table as a solution to solve our problems? What solutions would open up if this were not an option? Question 6, are we seeing opportunities for improvement as reasons for ending the relationship versus opportunities for deeper connection and collaboration? Question 7, am I actively choosing to be in this relationship each day? And what would it look like if I was? All right, my beautiful friends, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I send my love to each and every one of you who are navigating this phase of the relationship cycle. Make sure you pass this episode on to friends who are navigating this phase, as it can be incredibly isolating and daunting. And just know that you will get through this and the right path will present itself for you. And if you follow the steps in this episode, it will take you there. Lots of love. Thank you for listening to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast, your go-to resource for personal development and coaching. To deepen your learning and practice, make sure you're subscribed to receive our community newsletter. Subscribe at leticiaringe.com/newsletter. And if you haven't yet left a 5-star review for the podcast, we ask that you please do that now so that this podcast can reach other listeners who also want to join us in creating a life that is beautiful.